The Plank, presented by Ram, continues on ABC Action News Now.
All right, welcome back, folks. We got a lot of things to pack in here, and we have little time to do it. So right now, one more time for a chance to win this pizza. Who said this?
I'm grateful for the award, and I'm happy that my performance helped the team get a win. Most receivers, I'm sure they feel when they have a game like that. It feels like a basketball player when they get hot, they can't miss. So it kind of felt something like that.
All right, if you could tell us who that was, you just got to call us at 367. What is it?
0171.
0171.
You memorized it a second ago.
Well, things happen. Every 15 minutes of my life, things happen. All right, and there it is, the Papa John's pizza that you can win. But right now, let's go to Matt McGuire as he gives us his fantasy picks for Week 12 in the NFL.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Week 12 here on the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate. I'm Matt McGuire. We'll talk about the Bucs' win last week against the Redskins. And remember a few years ago when the Bucs would always play in the cold and the announcers would say they can't win a game in 40-degree weather? I feel like I can't give a fantasy football forecast of 40-degree weather either. But here we are, and it's cold out. But the Bucs, again, huge win. We'll talk about a crazy week across the NFL for the running backs. And I also want to talk about a couple key injuries that occurred across the NFL. But let's start with the Bucs. I mentioned Mike Evans week after week, and he had another huge week last week. 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. That yard total was the 3rd highest in the NFL this season for a wide receiver. I'm interested to see how he will play going forward. Will the team start the game plan against him defensively? There were a few times last week where Mike Evans had a linebacker guarding him. I doubt we're going to see that going forward. But when we talk about the plays that he had, on one drive in particular, he had 104 yards on one drive. Our buddy Greg Allman here on the Plank pointed that out. And, when you think about the football field, it's only 100 yards long. So I'm sure that's some kind of NFL record. But Bucs got a penalty on the drive, but they still went to him every single play downfield pretty much. And Charles Sims had another big week. That was impressive considering he just came on to the team a few weeks ago, and he's a rookie. But he had the most touches for a running back, and he was on the field for the most snaps. So I think Charles Sims is going to be the focal point of the running game going forward. Now let's talk about the running backs. I mentioned it was a wild week. We had personnel changes throughout the NFL. There were some injuries and a couple breakout performances. Let's start with some personnel changes. Ben Tate for the Cleveland Browns wasn't happy with his playing time. He made a couple comments in the media, and the Browns released him. And also LeGarrette Blount in Pittsburgh. He walked off the field early last Sunday night, and a couple days later, the Steelers announced they released him too. It's clear there's a no-nonsense policy in the NFL these days, and I like it. But let's talk about someone who had a breakout performance on the field, and that's Jonas Gray for the New England Patriots. The rookie hadn't scored an NFL touchdown yet, but he decided to score 4 in one game last week. Now, he does play for the Patriots, so we will see if he continues to get the playing time. They like to mix it up from week to week. Another interesting thing from the running back position were some injuries. Now, the Broncos, I mentioned C.J. Anderson last week as a breakout candidate, and he will continue to be a breakout candidate because Monte Ball got hurt again last week. Another big injury at the running back position is Ahmad Bradshaw. Hurt his foot, he's done for the year. I'd stay away from that situation, though, with the Colts because Andrew Luck is just going to continue to throw the ball more. But let's talk about some more injuries. None bigger than Julius Thomas for the Denver Broncos. Coming into last week, he was the leading point scorer in the NFL for tight ends. And we all know how much Peyton Manning loves to throw the ball. So if he does miss some time, you're definitely going to want to look for the backup tight end in Denver. And another big injury was Braden Cooks for the New Orleans Saints. He was one of Drew Brees' favorite targets. He's got a broken bone in his hand, and he's going to be out a couple weeks. I think Kenny Stills will come in and get some of those targets, so you're going to want to look to pick up Kenny Stills if he's available in your league. That's all we've got here for Week 12 on the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate. I'm Matt McGuire. Thanks for watching, and remember, hashtag the Plank on Twitter if you have any questions.
All right, Matt, way to go, brother. All right, so now we got to lay it on the line, don't we?
We do.
TK's keys to the game, first of all. Is that we got those up there?
Let's go with your picks first.
Want to go with my picks? Yeah. Okay, Igor. The Bears. You see the little head pop up out of the screen?
Yeah. He's just a wee little guy back there.
Okay, the Bears. I'm going with the Bears. And then I'm going to go with the Colts and the Eagles. And that's it.
Yeah, no upset specials are this week. No?
Not really, no.
No?
No, by the way, last week I didn't do too well, but the week before I was 3-0, so that's all I remember.
Yeah, but last week we both picked the Bucs to lose.
We did.
Yeah.
And we should both probably be kicked off the plank this week.
Right, but rules are that we can't be on the plank. We can't walk the
We
plank.
can't kick ourselves off, can we?
No, we can't because we push people off the plank.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about your picks?
How about that? How about I'm going with a Lovie Smith upset special at Soldier Field. Now, I picked a lot of these upset specials. They've never worked when it comes to the Bucs this year, but I think they'll do it.
Are you doing some remodeling at home? You got Elmer's glue around there? You're sniffing some of that? What do you think?
You're the one that's having his kitchen redone right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think one of the games of the week, Arizona and Seattle, that's going to be a good one there too. So.
All right, here's my keys to the game. Bring the galoshes, baby, because it's going to be raining. See, I did this well ahead of time. I knew it was going to rain.
You saw the forecast.
It is. And I would go to Gina Giorgetti restaurant because they have great steaks.
Yeah.
They had the Saturday night, the boys, get in the truck, more likely a cab, and get down there on Franklin and go over to Gina Giorgetti. Man, that is a great restaurant. Try to get there anytime I get there in Chicago, which is not very often. But,
Right.
Okay? And then make a wish at Buckingham Fountain and wish for a victory because I think it's going to take a wish against Chicago.
You know, Jay Cutler's thrown a lot of interceptions. We've talked about it all show. I could see Jerome McCoy in the defensive line maybe putting some pressure on Cutler and good old Jay Cutler throwing some picks, maybe another pick six by your boy Jonathan Banks.
I would love to see it.
We'll see.
I would love to see that.
I could see the Bucs winning this game. I really do. But then again, I could also see them losing.
You see, here's the thing: is that after the Pittsburgh game, we got a little, carried away.
It's a tease. They tease you.
They
with
tease you.
it,
They
and
draw
then
you
pull
in, and
you
then they
back.
spit you back out.
Yeah.
But there have been progressions made by this football team. I think what we might have seen last week from two players, Anthony Collins and Michael Johnson, who, by the way, I failed to ask Greg because you've been there.
Yeah.
Have you seen Michael Johnson on the field with his hand wrapped?
His hand.
And
he's been battling a hand injury.
But they said he has a broken hand.
Yeah, they're not saying anything on that.
A broken hand, all right? But I've not seen his hand. Has it been wrapped at all? Has it been wrapped in games?
I didn't see it wrapped in the game. I
thought it
also
was
wasn't looking for it, and he's not even on the injury report. If it's broken, it's maybe like a slight fracture.
Leslie Frazier just said, yeah, this is what I read, and this was in the notes that he said, or tweets that came out. I think Greg was the one that tweeted it out, where Frazier said he's been battling a broken hand. I go, you got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah.
All right? Oh, I gave my last chance on a pizza. We got to do it
We
again.
got 4 minutes left.
I've got a producer who's just giving me the eye, like going, dude,
Give away that pizza.
give away that pizza.
Give it away.
So who said this?
I'm grateful for the award, and I'm happy that my performance helped the team get a win. Most receivers, I'm sure they feel when they have a game like that. It feels like a basketball player when they get hot, they can't miss. So it kind of felt something like that.
All right, you have exactly 4 minutes to call in to get your free pizza, 813-367-0171. Here's an interesting stat when it comes to the Bears defenses.
Mm-hmm.
They have allowed 15 touchdowns and 0 interceptions when they faced New England or Green Bay. When they haven't faced those teams, they've given up 9 touchdowns and got 9 interceptions. How about that? When you're not Tom Brady, when you're not Aaron
You
Rodgers.
have a lot of time on your hands, don't you?
I like to read up. It's just reading. I just found that interesting because look at this defense. I mean, it's not that good, but when they're not facing the top tier quarterbacks, and Josh McCown's certainly not there, he's got to watch himself.
Yeah, he does. And I wish him luck. Josh and Lovie are going back there. I'm sure they like nothing better than to pull off this victory. And don't think for a minute that those two guys would not love to beat Chicago because of what happened.
They're saying all the right things, but they want to win.
Josh is one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet.
And as is Lovie.
I don't think he's ever said a bad thing about anybody, period. And nobody's ever said a bad thing about him because he can't. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like, he reminds you kind of like Lovie. He reminds you a little like of a Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
You can't be mad at the guy because he doesn't make you mad.
Right.
Even when he played bad, it felt bad for him. All right. But it is what it is.
And then when they fired Lovie Smith a few years ago after a 10-6 season, it's like you felt bad for him because he's such a nice guy and he had success, but the NFL has turned into a what have you done for me lately league, and they just hadn't been able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
So you still feel bad for the guy then.
Well, and Trestman got the job.
Right.
Trestman interviewed here a long time ago. This guy interviewed for more jobs than the head coaching jobs in the National Football League, and Chicago bid on it. after he was the offensive coordinator. The guy's
And
he's an offensive
and didn't
coordinator.
he coach-
He is not a head
Didn't
coach.
Trustman coach in the CFL?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He did. Okay, and real quickly, my story in Buffalo. I promised I'd tell you this. Okay, an AFC Championship game. Jim Kelly, quarterback back in the day. All right, rental car. We get out of the car, and next thing you know, big win, big huge win, and opening up the driver door. The door goes flying open, and it just bends right around the car.
The win that strong?
Took all the equipment out of the car, took everything out of the car, called up the rental car company and said, your car's over here on, whatever street we're on. This is where it is. Come pick it up because it is not drivable. All right, that's it. And that was my Buffalo story, and that was the one and only time I've ever been in Buffalo.
Yeah, so basically, you don't want to be in Buffalo and be in a car with this guy.
Well, no, you don't. No, I guess, that was sort of that was kind of a thing. That kind of a thing. Okay, we got to walk the plank, don't we?
We do. If we have enough time for it, let's go ahead and roll it. We're not picking any Buccaneers this week because they won by 20. So instead, we're going to pick Washington's quarterback, Robert Griffin III.
These guys, when they get kicked off, they never make a splash.
Yeah,
You notice
RG3
that?
did, yeah.
They should be in the Olympics. Seriously. I mean, I've never seen a splash yet out of these guys.
Well,
Greg Louganis, better than Greg Louganis.
He made a big splash last Sunday, helping the Bucs to a big win and forcing some picks.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he had his troubles.
Yes.
He had his troubles, and he's had his troubles this past week. They thought he was throwing his teammates under the bus, but you know what? What he said is true. He says, look at Rodgers. Look at the Mannings. Look at all the good ones. He says they can't be who they are without the guys that they got around them.
That whole roster's a mess.
It is a mess. The way it is, it is.
Yeah.
And
it's not all his fault. I mean, when your team's playing bad, we talk about all year long here.
They got
it's the quarterback's the first to blame besides the head coach. But there's just no one else there. I mean, Deshaun Jackson is probably the only other big weapon they have, and he hasn't maybe lived up to the expectations that he had coming out of Philadelphia.
Right.
I know that for a fact because he's on my fantasy team and he hasn't been helping me that much this year. Mike Evans, on the other hand, gave me 41 points last week.
Yeah, and I think Mikey's going to pop another one. He's going to keep the string going.
Yeah.
I think he's got another TD.
Three straight 100-yard games with 100-yard games of receiving with at least one touchdown. Only rookie to do that since Randy Moss in 1998. So let's see if he can get to 4 straight.
I'd love to see it. It'd be nice to talk about 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, be the first winning streak.
Team. It'd be a while. Mm-hmm. It would be a while. So, listen, we want to thank, first of all, Greg Auman for joining us here and getting us up to speed on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the Tampa Bay Times. Of course, they're a beat writer there. And then Mark Giangreco from WLS TV in Chicago.
And my father-in-law, Greg
Your
Tucholsky.
father-in-law, Greg. And, God, I hope everything goes well for them in Buffalo. It's going to be a week of hell for them.
Yeah, then once it all melts, you're going to have flooding issues. We'll see. They've been doing well, though. Little cabin fever hasn't set in yet, so that's good news.
Right, and next week, of course, is Thanksgiving week, and we'll have a special edition coming to the plank. So you join us then, all right? And in between, have a good weekend.
See ya.